The dramatic successes of the Germans against the British in North Africa galvanized the Grand Mufti and his supporters in Baghdad. Rommel's victories are the chance they have been waiting for. Fronted by an Iraqi army officer named Rashid Ali, nationalists begin to organize an Iraqi pro-German revolt. If they can inflict a defeat on the British in Iraq, they might tip the balance in favor of a major German victory in the Middle East.
The pro-Axis coup of 1941 was an effort to oust British influence from Iraq, which of course was Allied influence, destroyed the British military bases in Iraq, and turned the oil over to the Nazis.
Had Rashid Ali's government succeeded in moving the British out of Iraq in 1941, the situation would have completely destabilized, I think, the British position in the Middle East. It would have allowed Axis troops to be moved into Iraq in the rear of the British forces who were seeking to re-establish the position in the Western Desert.
For decades to come, the Iraqi revolt of April 1941 will be an inspiration to Arab nationalists everywhere, most of all to the future dictator of Iraq. Stories about how the British were challenged in Iraq and almost defeated will inspire Saddam Hussein all through his teenage years. The reason is that one of the Iraqi army officers taking part in the coup is Saddam Hussein's uncle. In early April 1941, the British in the Middle East face annihilation. The tanks of the brilliant German General Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, have leveled British forces and now threaten to punch through its last defenses and pour into Egypt. Rommel's Africa Corps arrives in Italian-controlled Libya on February 12, 1941. Beginning in Tripoli, the panzers pursue the retreating British, and on April 15th reach the Egyptian border. Rommel now threatens the Suez Canal, Britain's link with its empire, and might even smash right through Palestine and Jordan, all the way to the oil fields of Iraq. The German advance means the British now face the horrifying possibility that they might lose control of the whole Middle East, and with it, Britain's main oil supply. If that happens, they could lose the war. Meanwhile, to many Arabs, Rommel appears not as a foreign invader, but as a liberator who will drive the colonialist British out of Arab lands for good.
When the newsreels would run in the Baghdad cinemas with Churchill being shown and with Hitler being shown, Churchill was booed and Hitler was cheered. The placards all over the market said, "In heaven, your master is Allah. On earth, it is Adolf Hitler."
As Rommel's panzers threaten the whole British position in the Middle East, in Iraq, the British suddenly face a totally unexpected attack. On April 10, 1941, conspirators led by Rashid Ali and the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Amin al-Husseini, launched their carefully planned coup.
As far as the young Iraqi officers were concerned, they had no love for the British. They were nationalist, and they believed that the Germans, the Axis powers, were going to win the war.
Among the army officers involved in the coup is Khairallah Talfah, a fervent admirer of the Nazis. For Talfah, this is the most important moment of his life. In the years to come, Talfah will recount his experiences again and again to his favorite nephew, the future dictator of Iraq, Saddam Hussein. In the early stages of the Iraqi coup, Amin al-Husseini has stayed in the background. Now he takes center stage. As the Grand Mufti or senior Islamic leader in Jerusalem, Amin first issues a fatwa, or religious edict. He solemnly instructs all Muslims to rise up and fight the British in Iraq. He declares a jihad, a holy war. The news rocks London. So great is the threat to the British from the Grand Mufti that he goes to the top of the list of Britain's most wanted in the Arab world. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill even approves a plan to kill or capture Britain's #1 enemy in the Middle East. Churchill also orders sabotage missions to blow up Iraqi oil wells, aiming to stop them from falling into German hands. In fact, in the chaos of the Iraqi battle, neither plan reaches fruition. The Grand Mufti has long ago promised the Germans that Iraqi oil will be theirs. With Rommel's offensive in full swing, it looks like the Mufti might soon deliver that prize that Germany needs the most. For the Grand Mufti, the rewards could be immense.
If the Nazis had won the war, and if the Nazis had taken control over the Middle East, the Mufti would have been the Governor General, or the titular king of the Middle East.
In Iraq, the British and their tribal allies are hopelessly outnumbered by the well-equipped Iraqi army. When the Iraqis officially announce an alliance with Germany, a British-German showdown is inevitable. After days of rising tension, British families are evacuated to Habanaya airfield, 60 miles from Baghdad, from where they are to be flown out of Iraq. At Habanaya, there are almost 2,500 British servicemen and civilians. The only aircraft they have are obsolete training planes with student pilots. Around the base are massed 5,000 Iraqi troops with heavy artillery. The Iraqis refuse to let anyone in or out.
Well, initially the British capabilities were very limited because they only had training aircraft which included a few Elsley fighters at Habanaya.
The British know they need to take decisive action to save the base at Habanaya and the British presence in Iraq. They decide to attack without warning. For the British, it is a race against time. If the Iraqis can persuade the Germans to send combat aircraft to join the battle, it will be all over for the British in Iraq. April 1941. News of the pro-German coup in Iraq quickly reaches Berlin, but Adolf Hitler pays no attention. He is preoccupied with his plan to invade the Soviet Union, the greatest risk of his career. With the Fuhrer showing little interest in the Middle East, it falls to von Ribbentrop to see Iraq as a historic opportunity. He orders an immediate study of the ways in which Germany